US lawyers have spoken on the Dukes of Sussex's visa information, claiming that answers on historical drug use should be considered, quote, private personal information. So solicitors acting on behalf of the Department of Homeland Security made the intervention despite the pothead prince repeatedly referencing his drug-taking past in his own memoir, Spare. Take a listen to this.
Of course, I had been doing cocaine around this time. At someone's country house during a shooting weekend. I'd been offered a line, and I'd done a few more since. It wasn't much fun, and it didn't make me particularly happy, as it seemed to make everyone around me, but it did make me feel different. And that was the main goal. Feel different.
I'm joined now by Nile Gardiner, foreign policy analyst and director at the Heritage Foundation, which is the group fighting to make Prince Harry's visa application public. Niall, you want him deported from America, don't you?
Well, Patrick, thanks very much for having me on the show today. And I think the issue of transparency with regard to Prince Harry's immigration application is very important for the American people. No one should be above the law. And it's very clear that everyone should be held to account in terms of drug use and applying to the United States. It's very clear, of course, that Prince Harry has admitted to widespread drug use in his memoir, Spare, and he should be treated like anybody else applying to the United States. And if it is revealed that he has lied on his immigration application, that he has misled US officials, then, of course, he should be deported. We simply want to see the records released. We want to establish what the truth is. There's a clear public interest in the release of Harry's immigration record.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Niall. I mean, the argument, I suppose, would be that if he does fail, he could just go to the southern border, wandering illegally, and then stay indefinitely. But why does it matter so much to you, really, about this? Because then he'll just come back here and it'll be our problem, won't he?
Well, I think it matters to the American people whether or not people lie on immigration applications. And I do think that the law should be applied. No one should receive preferential treatment because of their celebrity status. And at the Heritage Foundation, we believe in the enforcement of the rule of law. And Prince Harry should receive the same level of scrutiny as everyone else. And this argument that he should be treated purely as a private citizen, of course, is complete nonsense. After all, he is a huge public figure in the United States, known to tens of millions of Americans. He's done extensive media interviews. Yeah. He should be held to account as a public figure.
Yeah, you can't have a two-tier policing system, even if you are a prince. Now, thank you very much. Nile Gardiner there, one of the men who is essentially trying to, in a roundabout way, get Prince Harry deported. Now, I'm joined now by editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffith. Charlotte, thank you very much. Well, has Harry not sacrificed his right to privacy? How can he claim it's a private matter when he's earned potentially millions selling books and audio books, partly off the back of his drug use?
I think Harry, as usual, hasn't really thought things through. So we know that he filled out his application in March 2020, and then at some point after Prince Philip's funeral, a year or so later, he then got very incensed by the fact that his family didn't understand why he went to America. So then he decided to write Spare. And then during the process of writing Spare, he somehow was persuaded, or perhaps the ghostwriter put pressure on him, to reveal this drug use. But I just don't know whether when he filled out his application, he anticipated any of these things. And I'm not saying that he did or didn't admit to drug taking in his application, but I just wondered whether he played the tape forward and sort of worked out whether, if he was going to write about extensive drug use, whether that might have a retrospective sort of effect on his application.
Look, what happens to him and Meghan if the reality is that he's lied about it, the Americans take a dim view of that, and he's on the next plane back to Blighty? I mean, she's not coming with him, is she?
Well, if that scenario were to happen, I can't imagine a world in which Meghan Markle would ever move back to the UK. So he'll be desperately hoping that that's not the case, which is probably why he's fighting so hard to say that this is private information and that the inner workings of his form aren't for public consumption, even if the fact that he's taken drugs has. But you're right, I can't see a world in which Meghan Markle moves happily back to Blighty.
No, absolutely not. Look now, onto the King, because he celebrated his 75th birthday today. And to mark the special occasion, he launched the Coronation Food Project, which will help those living in food poverty. But the monarch didn't get away without this happening.
Start us off. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Your Majesty. Happy birthday to you.
Yes, so well, there we go. But one person that won't take part in any of the celebrations is Prince Harry, who instead will wish his father, quote, happy birthday over the phone. But Charlotte, should the King have taken his call or returned his call? What do we know?
I think, of course, Charles has to answer the phone to his son on his birthday, but it's just so sad that we have all these reports, which sound like they've been leaked a little bit from Harry's camp, that Prince Harry will be issuing his father with a phone call on his birthday. How sad that it has to be prearranged and so formal, and that he can't just nip over and wish his dad a happy 75th birthday. It's a big milestone, and Harry's quite lucky that his father's still alive at 75. You know, a lot of us, have lost our fathers and, at younger ages. Can't they just bury the hatchet? Can't Harry just come over and spend his father's birthday?
Do you actually think it's an insult, this, then? Seriously, do you think it's an insult to say, well, I'll give him a call?
I think it is a bit. I think to have pre-arranged it and say there will be a formally arranged phone call. Charles is going to be having this lovely dinner at Clarence's house with all the rest of his family, and he's kind of having a sort of pre-arranged 2-minute, 5-minute phone call with his son. It's just so formal, and it's so sad, really, because it just shouldn't. Their relationship should be as father and son, not as a sort of stranger from overseas issuing a diplomatic phone call.
Yeah, and I think in recent days we've actually seen King Charles getting very emotional publicly at the unveiling of a statue to his late mother, our late Queen, and also at the Remembrance Day ceremony. The idea that this guy isn't deeply, deeply hurt by what's going on with Harry is for the birds. But thank you very much for coming on. I hope to chat to you again soon. That's Editor-at-Large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths.